areas of probate, estate planning, and guardianship. You've worked hard for what you have. You love your family. Do not leave your assets stuck in court. Do not leave your family dealing with delays and red tape. Benjamin Franklin said, "Failing to plan is planning to fail." Call Bevilacqua Law today to schedule a consultation to discuss your family, your goals, your concerns, and your wishes. They make this a painless process that will leave you knowing that you protected your family. Your family will feel secure and loved, and you can feel at ease, knowing you did the very best thing for them. Call today, 561-877-1515. Again, 561-877-1515.
We are back now with more of the Ask the Experts radio show, proudly sponsored by board-certified family law attorney Tina Lewert of Lewert Law LLC, covering South Florida.
And we are back. This is the Ask the Expert show. We're waiting. We have a brand new sponsor. Let me give Freddie her phone number. She is our estate planning attorney, and I was so lucky to get her. And this is her first show. And a lot of times when it's a first show, they tend to not do everything right, because there's a lot to do that goes on to bring one of these shows on. So you have me for right now while we're waiting for her to come on the show. She is an estate planning attorney, and she has offices in Parkland and in Dallas. She's got 2 offices, and we are so lucky to have her because, listen, you can see what's going on. I've had 2 very good friends of mine pass away in the last 3 weeks from COVID. They weren't counting on passing away. And I don't even know if they had their wills drawn up or if they had their planning done, because they sure weren't expecting this. And it's so important when it comes to estate planning, because we're not going to live forever. I wish I could say we could, but we're not. So, and I think Freddie's gotten a hold of her, and we're waiting for her to come on. But the name of the law firm is Natalia Bevilacqua. Did I murder that? Okay.
I hope it's right.
Yeah, no, we're getting ready to find out. So are we okay, Freddie? Is she?
Yeah, they're getting it for me now.
Okay. No, because this is really an important show when it comes to estate planning. Oh, and you know what? I was so shocked when Prince passed away. Now, here's a wealthy guy that had all kinds of managers, and this guy did not have a will. I mean, how do you not have a will when you've got all these managers around you? And now there's so much fighting going on. Now, also, a friend of mine whose father's brother passed away, and because they didn't take care of it, they are having all types of probate problems. And folks, you don't want to get into probate. That's when it really gets expensive. So you can save yourself a lot of time, money, a lot of effort by taking care of. Yeah, there she is. Hey. So
how are you?
I'm doing fine, Natalia. Now, wait a minute. Are you sure you're an attorney? You look too young.
I wish. How are you?
Good. So There's something you got to help me with. What do you think it is?
You tell me. I help a lot of people with a lot of different things.
No. You've got to pronounce your last name for me.
All right. It's Bevilacqua, means drink water in Italian. My husband's Italian.
Okay.
Bevilacqua.
Bevilacqua. Okay.
Sir?
So tell us about your firm.
So first of all, thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate the opportunity
Okay.
to speak
Can you
here
lower
because-
your sound a little bit?
Sure.
Okay, let's try it again.
How about now?
Better.
All right. So thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to people about what I do because in my heart and through my work, I know that my work is extremely important. And it's extremely unfortunate when people come to me and they are in a bad situation and they say, oh, I wish I had known. I wish I had known.
Exactly.
So I see my job as I have to tell people about what could happen, and then what you do with that information is up to you. So what I do for work is I'm an attorney. I deal exclusively with matters of inheritance, incapacity, and planning. So I get people from both ends, those who come to me to make plans, and on the other end, I deal with families of those people who did not make a plan.
Before you came on, I was talking about I had several friends of mine pass away from COVID who never, probably in a million years, thought they would be dying at the age that they were. And I wonder if they made plans. But what I was trying to come across and say is that you don't wait till it's too late to start making plans.
No, the folks that need to come see me, first of all, are 18-year-olds, the ones that are becoming adults, the ones that are going away to college for the first time away from mom and dad, and that's when we need to start. Estate planning is not just about cents and dollars. There is so much more involved, so many unforeseeable things that can happen. And, of course, parents need to plan, older people need to plan. There is not one person, unless you're under the age of 18, that does not need to come and have a conversation. Whether or not you need something, we can discuss that, but everyone should come and have a conversation.
It's funny because I'm glad you said that, because people think they have to have a lot of money to have a will, or they have to be older. And you've just said your age group kind of starts at 18, planning now for the future. And that's got to be an education in itself, trying to educate people about that.
It is, and I try to do my best. You can't put your own head on somebody else's shoulders, right? And I think for a lot of people, it's tough to face the fact that, something will happen, that there are two ways out of here. You're either going to get incapacitated and die, or you're going to die. There's no way off
Right.
this planet otherwise. But maybe there is some superstition involved, but those are the excuses that get your family into trouble.
And Natalia, it's so important that people get in trouble, end up having to go to probate. And that gets really expensive. When all they
does.
had to do is sit down with you earlier so that you could keep that from happening to them.
Sure, because probate is a court supervised process. So whenever courts are involved, that's where I make most of my money. It's not on the planning end of it. It's on when I have to go to court.
What are most people calling you about now with COVID?
I think COVID lit a lot of fires under people and made some people that were otherwise not willing to have the conversation to all of a sudden want to have the conversation. So I do see a lot more planning, but as always, I'm doing a lot of probate and I'm doing a lot of guardianship.
You know what? Not everybody knows what probate is. Can you explain what probate is?
I would love to talk about it. It's my favorite topic. It's my favorite area of practice. I really do feel like I'm helping people when I do probate work. So that's why I love it. So probate is a court supervised process for receiving inheritance. So when someone passes away and they own something, anything, whether it be a house or a bank account or a car, anything in their name alone, the court has to give an order transferring title to that something to the heirs. So that's what probate process is all about. Of course, there are many rules and many notices that you have to send out and legal hoops you have to jump through before you get to the point where people actually receive their inheritance. And that's why it's so expensive, because there's a lot to do between when a person passes and the heirs actually receive what they're entitled to.
Is there processes you can go through that down the line people will not have to go through probate?
There are absolutely things that people can do to plan in advance. Having the proper documents in place is important, but I will give free legal advice for those who absolutely do not want to come talk to an attorney. At least make everything that you have pay on death. You can do that with your bank account. You can make sure that your life insurance policies have updated beneficiaries, your 401ks, your investments, whatever you have, make sure that there is a pay on death beneficiary designated. In Florida, we can do the same thing with a house. We can designate a house as payable on death, but that's something that only an attorney should do.
Someone asked me today, they knew you were coming on tonight. Do you handle guardianship?
I do, and it's actually my very least favorite thing to do, but I do it while many other attorneys are, who are experienced in this area are not doing it anymore because it's a very emotionally unpleasant process. And what happens in guardianship? Well, there are a few ways you can end up in guardianship. The most common scenario that I see is when mom and dad, they get old, they get Alzheimer's, they get dementia, and they cannot manage their affairs on their own. So it's usually a child, an adult child, that applies to the court for guardianship to be in charge of the ailing parents' finances, medical decisions, living arrangements, etc. And guardianship is an extremely invasive and heavily supervised process. You have to submit everything about you to the court, fingerprints, credit check, and it takes time. It costs a lot of money, and there are no winners in guardianship, I guess. It's always a bad situation.
So I know someone who their daughter had a disability, and when she turned 18, she became kind of a property of the state. But the mother didn't know that. And there's so many parents who don't know what they can do to keep from losing their guardianship of their own child when they turn 18 if they have a disability.
That is actually a much more pleasant guardianship to deal with. I'm dealing with parents who are incredibly devoted, incredibly brave, and they're in a difficult circumstance. They have a child with a disability, and they've been taking care of this child their whole life. But all of a
Right.
sudden, when that child turns 18, schools will not share educational information. Doctors will not share medical information, which most parents find absolutely ridiculous, but that the law is the law. Once you turn 18, you're a legal adult and your information is protected. So this type of guardianship is a lot easier to set up, and parents who have children with developmental disabilities need to contact an experienced guardianship attorney approximately 6 months before the child turns 18. And this is a much less painful process and less expensive process. And I very much enjoy working with those parents because, like I said, they're
I'm
they're
so glad
incredible
you
people.
said that because my friend's daughter is autistic,
Hmm.
and they're saying now that 1 out of every 10 children are born are autistic now. That means there's a lot of autistic children out there. And the parents don't know until it's kind of like too late when the child turns 18 what their rights are. And they first had, so I'm going to tell everybody, get an attorney like Natalia. Do not try to do it yourself.
Yeah, don't get me started on the whole do it yourself because that oftentimes does not work out well. And at least have a conversation with an attorney. Just because you talk to someone doesn't mean you have to hire them, doesn't mean you owe anything. Have a conversation so that at least you have the information that you need to take care of your family.
I want to go back to wills. What is a living will?
A living will is a document that deals with healthcare decisions. So, in the event that you are incapacitated and you cannot speak up for yourself, you have designated a trusted person to make those decisions for you. And in Florida, all the medical documents in general, we call them advanced healthcare directives. And you can give as much direction as you want, or you can stick to the basic template of the document. But I'll tell you my personal story. Before my husband and I, well, before I went into the hospital to have our last child about 3 years ago, I have updated my advanced healthcare directives. It was important to me that if it ever came down, between my life and the life of my unborn daughter, that my life is chosen because we have 4 other children, and I would not want for them to grow up without a mom. It was important for me that clergy is consulted before any life or death decisions are made. So to me, that document was very personal and very specific. And some people also have very specific ideas about what they want and don't want to see happen. And I think we all remember the case of a young lady named Terry Schiavo. I
Oh,
think it's been
yes.
about 10, 15 years ago.
Yes.
So I think it's close to $100,000 that families spent on litigation. And not all families are going to go that route, obviously, but why not help people out? Because by the time you're having a medical emergency, you can imagine that your family is not in a good spot.
Right. We're going to go to break. Natalia, give everybody your phone number and your website address.
So my phone number is 561-877-1515, and the website is bevilacqualaw.com.
Now, are you in Parkland or Dallas tonight?
Right now, I'm in the Dallas area. I go
Okay.
back and forth between Texas
I know
and
you do.
Florida.
I know you. It makes me homesick because I'm from Dallas. We're going to go to break. We'll be right back.
Bevilacqua Law thoughtfully and intentionally limits its practice to interrelated areas of probate, estate planning, and guardianship. You've worked hard for what you have. You love your family. Do not leave your assets stuck in court. Do not leave your family dealing with delays and red tape. Benjamin Franklin said, "Failing to plan is planning to fail." Call Bevilacqua Law today to schedule a consultation to discuss your family, your goals, your concerns, and your wishes. They make this a painless process that will leave you knowing that you protected your family. Your family will feel secure and loved, and you can feel at ease knowing you did the very best thing for them. Call today, 561-877-1515. Again, 561-877-1515.
We are back now with more of the Ask the Experts radio show, proudly sponsored by board-certified family law attorney Tina Lewert of Lewert Law LLC, covering South Florida.
We are back. We are doing our brand new estate planning for show tonight. We got so many people asking us to add a show like this, and we were so lucky to find Natalia. And tonight, I've learned something new because we do an estate planning show in our other cities. And the one thing I've really learned tonight is you don't wait till you're 50 or 60 to draw up a will start at 18 years old. And you don't have to be wealthy to have a will.
That's right. I think estate planning has always been done, the same way. It's the 70 and 80-year-olds getting ready for the inevitable, coming to an attorney, and an attorney gives them a standard, set of documents. They sign everything. Everybody goes home happy. And, when grandma and grandpa pass away, then the family hires that very same attorney to probate the estate. So the attorney is making money on both ways. I don't much subscribe to the old way of doing estate planning, and I think one of the things that were never considered is your legacy, because you are way more than cents and dollars or square feet, whatever it is that you own. I always talk to my clients about the importance of passing on your legacy to the next generations, and if you have teenage children or grandchildren, I have teenage children, I can tell you they don't much care about anything you have to say. But trust me, there will come a day when the family history and your thoughts and your opinions will really matter. And you may or may not be there at that point. So legacy planning is a very important aspect of the entire estate plan.
Well, planning is so important, but what's so important to have an attorney like yourself is things that they don't even think about. You've got this list in your head of things that can come up that they would never think of. And that's why it is so important that they contact you, sit down with you, and you can. Don't try to do this yourself. This isn't something you try to do. You've been doing. How long have you been practicing?
About 7-8 years, I want to say,
Okay.
and
You've seen
all of
a
it
lot.
doing this.
You've seen a lot.
I have. I have a
And-
lot of stories that that are sad.
Yeah. So the word planning, about planning. This is what you do for a living. And people need to come in, sit down with you, and go over everything they have so you can sit down with them and make an entire plan for years to come.
You are making a very good
but
advertisement
you know
for,
what,
for my
Natalia?
services.
No, but with COVID, though, I've lost 2 friends. No one expected them to die. No one expected that. We say we don't ever expect to die, but they really didn't. And you wonder, God, did they have plans made? Because they weren't expecting to die when they did.
No, and it's unfortunate, and especially when I see younger people passing, younger people leaving small children, and but you know what? Some of them do have certain illnesses, and I'm like, man, why didn't you call? Why didn't you do that for your family to make things so much easier? But I mean, it's easy to judge other people's choices. But I love talking about what I do. I love telling people about what I do. I love sitting down with my clients and going over their particular situation, their family situation, and just giving them options. Here's what would happen if you do nothing. Does that work for you? Yes or no? If that doesn't work for you, then let's explore some options that would work for you. And sometimes people are surprised that I don't have, a 20-page questionnaire, which I actually do, but I never send it to my clients because
It's all in your head.
There is no substitute for having a conversation. And every time, if I had $1 for every time a client told me, "Oh, I didn't think of that," I'd be a very rich woman. But there's no substitute to sitting down and having a conversation and discussing things that are not going to be obvious on any type of questionnaire.
Well, this is what I was trying to get at. This is no place to cut corners. I've seen on TV these online estate planning platforms, and I guess I can say that's crap. Okay, you need to get an experienced attorney like Natalia to sit down with you and go, because how does someone plan by going online? I mean, we'll never get an online attorney ever again. That's fine. What you do is so important. And, I've seen people cut corners in other areas with attorneys to save money. This is not the place to do it.
It's not, and probably the saddest story that I have is of a mom. She had, I think, 4 or 5 kids, and one of them was a disabled child who would need, care for the rest of his life. And the mom didn't have much. She had her home, so she made a will online saying that the house goes to the disabled child. Unfortunately, it was not properly signed because the signing was not supervised by an attorney. So all the siblings ended up inheriting the house, and they all took the money, and they didn't give it to the child that's disabled. And the child that's disabled lost his benefits because of the inheritance that he received, because the house was sold, and he got it in cash. So it's not worth it. And estate planning does not have to be expensive. Obviously, there are trusts that cost quite a bit to put together, but that's not your only option. And that's why you should talk to me, because there are options, and it does not have to be expensive. But paying $159 for whatever on legalwhatever.com is definitely not the way to go.
Natalia, God, I could go on for another 30 minutes, but we're going to have you back again next month. Give everybody the name of the firm again and your phone number.
So Bevilacqua Law is my law firm. Phone number is 561-877-1515. And if any of the listeners have any specific questions that they want answered, feel free to call. Tell the receptionist will take a message for you. And I would love to answer people's specific questions, because I can talk about this all day long, but what really matters is what matters to you.
You really do care, and I love that we have you. You'll be back with us again next month. Thank you so much. Great first show, and we will be back with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in today to Ask the Experts, sponsored by board-certified family law attorney Tina Lourd of Lourd Law, LLC. Join host Steve-O again next Thursday for more interviews with the top experts in South Florida in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement on Ask the Experts.